Wild hogs are destroying farms at an alarming rate, tearing through fields and leaving chaos behind. But what happens when one of these giants grows to a size no one thought possible? Today, we join a ranch team as they track down a record-breaking hog and uncover just how these monsters reach such massive proportions. Wild hogs continue to be one of the most destructive invasive animals found in North America. Farmers and ranchers know the challenge all too well. Once these animals establish themselves in an area, they multiply at an incredible pace and cause widespread damage to crops, pasture land, and property. A single female is capable of producing 2 litters every year, each with as many as a dozen piglets. That means a small group can quickly turn into hundreds within just a couple of seasons. Despite countless management attempts, from traps to barriers, the hog population only grows stronger and spreads wider. This is why hunters often step in, both to protect farmland and to manage the uncontrolled expansion of these resilient animals. On this particular day, we joined a local rancher named David and his team. The morning air was crisp, the sky still carrying a faint mist as the sun crept upward. Dogs barked eagerly as the group prepared their equipment. Everyone understood the mission clearly: safeguard nearby fields by reducing the number of hogs roaming unchecked. The sound of metal clicking, rifles being checked, and dogs restless with anticipation set the tone for what would be a long day of focused hunting. The first stretch of land was a wooded patch behind a row of hay fields. Thick undergrowth provided plenty of cover for hogs, and signs of rooting were visible everywhere. Freshly turned soil, broken fences, and deep tracks showed just how active the animals had been the night before. As the group spread out, the dogs caught a scent and dashed into the brush. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then the silence was shattered by loud barking and heavy footsteps crashing through the vegetation. Out came a large boar, charging forward in confusion. David quickly raised his rifle, aligned his sights, and squeezed the trigger. The first shot only grazed the animal, sending it stumbling but still running. 2 more rounds echoed immediately after, and the boar finally collapsed to the ground. It was the first success of the day, and the relief was clear on everyone's faces. The hunt continued deeper into the forest. The terrain was uneven, with small streams cutting across and thorny bushes stretching high. Dogs darted ahead, circling and sniffing constantly. Suddenly, near a shallow creek, another hog attempted to slip away unnoticed. This time, it was Carlos, one of David's partners, who reacted quickly. His shot struck precisely, and the animal dropped instantly. The team gathered for a brief moment, checking the surroundings before pressing on, fully aware that many more hogs were likely hiding nearby. On the opposite side of the creek stood a slope covered in brush, nearly as tall as a person. Perfect cover for hogs, yet also risky for them if spotted. The hunters spread out carefully, scanning every rustle and movement. Within minutes, a dark figure pushed through the thick leaves. David motioned for silence before taking a clear shot. A burst of gunfire followed as others joined in. The boar tried to retreat but staggered after only a few steps, collapsing midway down the hillside. Another sign that patience and careful observation were paying off. After more than an hour of searching this area, the team decided to relocate. The dogs, still full of energy, led the way into a different forested region where tracks suggested larger groups often traveled. As expected, the barking soon intensified, signaling the presence of more hogs. David and Carlos fired several shots to flush them out. A group of startled animals bolted in all directions, snapping branches and grunting loudly. Amid the chaos, one hog remained close, trying to hide beneath a cluster of trees. David seized the opportunity and made another accurate shot, securing yet another target. As midday approached, the hunt moved further into the rugged forest. Dust clung to boots, sweat began to build, yet the determination never faded. Not long after, a particularly large boar appeared at the edge of an opening. Its size was enough to command attention. Everyone froze, waiting for the right angle. The shot rang out sharply, echoing against the trees. Seconds later, the animal collapsed. The hunters knew this was one of the bigger victories of the day. The hours rolled on, and by late afternoon, the team was still encountering wild hogs at regular intervals. Each time, the dogs played a crucial role, forcing the animals out from their hiding spots and giving the hunters a clear line of fire. On a narrow trail leading out of the woods, a sudden commotion broke out as another hog sprinted across, kicking up dust. David instinctively raised his rifle and hit his target with practiced precision. Moments later, another animal followed, but Carlos was ready, dropping it with a single shot. As the sun lowered, painting the landscape in shades of orange and gold, the group began to retrace their steps, satisfied with the results so far. Yet the day wasn't finished. In one final push, the dogs cornered a massive hog hiding in the undergrowth. Unlike the others, this one was stronger, faster, and far more determined to escape. It dodged shots, weaving through bushes and charging past obstacles. The team spread out quickly, cutting off possible exits. David and Carlos coordinated, firing in unison. After a tense chase, the animal finally collapsed, bringing the long day to a dramatic close. What stood out most wasn't just the number of hogs taken down, but the sheer size of some of them. Farmers often wonder how these animals grow so massive, reaching weights of several hundred pounds. The answer lies in their adaptability. Wild hogs eat almost anything: roots, crops, insects, small animals, and even carrion. With access to farmland, their food supply becomes endless. Combined with their ability to reproduce at astonishing rates, it's no surprise that they grow into giants when left unchecked. The problem, however, isn't confined to one area. Across Texas and much of the southern United States, wild hog populations continue to expand. They damage infrastructure, contaminate water sources, and even pose risks to native wildlife. Local authorities have spent millions of dollars on various control measures, but success remains limited. For many communities, hunters like David and his team remain one of the most effective ways to keep numbers under control. By the time the last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the hills, the hunt had come to an end. The group gathered their gear, checked on the dogs, and prepared to leave the forest. The work was exhausting but necessary. Without these efforts, farmers would face even greater losses, and the hogs would spread unchecked across more land. The days like this highlight the balance between protecting agriculture and managing invasive species. The results of this hunt show both the challenge and the effectiveness of persistence. Each shot, each chase, and each strategy reflected not just skill but also a commitment to protecting the livelihood of local farmers. And though the hogs will continue to return, hunters like David, Carlos, and their dedicated team will always be ready to face the next challenge.